Welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. It's a delight to have you with us on Tuesday, the 2nd of August, a new month unfolding in our world. And day, I've lost track of the days, but we're still celebrating Memorial Day. Anybody who chooses to join us in doing that, our invitation to you is that you become willing to look at something in your world that you hold that's based in some form of hostility or fear that you're willing to forgive. And when we talk about forgiveness, we're not talking about letting somebody else off the hook because something's going on in you. Forgiveness is a tool with which you go inside yourself and remove what never belonged. And that's what we're here to support you in. And we invite you to tap into our website, www.whyagain.com, www.whyagain.com, and on the right-hand side, you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. We invite you to tap into that link and to look at the first 3 links under that section, and those first 3 links are the how-to of forgiveness, the internal process of forgiveness. And the difference between the classic, the way the world does forgiveness and the way we're talking about it is that in the classic form of forgiveness in our culture, everybody's got everybody else to blame but is willing to forgive them, to let them off the hook for what's happening inside. And of course, it's pretty ridiculous to let somebody else off the hook for what's happening inside of you, something that you created. And so the idea is to be willing to step in everything that's in you, and if there are things you've been blaming somebody else for, that's done by a little trick of the mind called projection. And we invite you to undo your projections. How do you undo your projections? Well, that's what the reality management or forgiveness worksheet is about. That's the Aramaic way of undoing what never belonged. And so, welcome to the show. If you've got a question for us or a thought, if you're doing worksheets or using any of the other tools and have questions about them, we would love to hear from you about your questions. And our phone number, call in, 646-200-4169. We'd love to hear your voice. I don't know if you're there, Lynn, but if you are, we've been conversing the last couple of days, and I would love to carry on our conversation in support of where you're heading with the process of forgiveness and with the tools. So, Jeanie, do we have any callers or anything in the chat room at this moment?
No, we've got Tim and David both on the line now, but we don't have anybody. I actually got bumped out of the chat room. I don't know what's going on. It says somebody else signed in and kicked me out. So I don't know how that happens, but so I'm just now signing back into the chat room. But we don't have any questions yet.
All right. Well, good morning, David and Tim. Welcome.
Good morning.
Or good afternoon, I guess. I'm still doing the show from back in Oregon in morning time, but it's afternoon here too. It's 1 o'clock. So we missed you yesterday, Dr. Jim.
Well, it's really good to be back. I had lunch with 2 charming ladies yesterday. I sent you an email about that, and I tried to respond to your phone call earlier today, but I did get your note, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about possibilities for later in the month.
Cool.
And I'm sorry that I missed the show yesterday, but I'm sure it was enlightening, and I'll catch it on the replays.
Well, I'm sure it was worth it to spend the lunch time with 2 young ladies. That's awesome.
It was. Christy and her granddaughter.
Oh, neat. Neat. Well, tell Christy I said hello and send her love.
Will do. Well, so what was the big topic yesterday?
Well, we mainly talked, remember on Friday we talked with Lynn, who was talking about some challenges and opportunities with alcohol. And so we shared some ideas with Lynn about forgiveness and some of the challenges there. She had some openings on how to use the worksheet. And so it was really good conversation. I think everybody got a lot out of it. So it was excellent.
Oh, great. So she got to call in yesterday instead of just being in the chat room?
Yeah. Yep, and we invited her to call in again today to continue the conversation because it was really productive for everybody. You got this some core questions and core issues, which it's always good to have that live interaction with somebody who's actually in there doing the work in order to tap in and do what comes next in the process of healing. And we're on the 16th day of teachers training here. And
we have a caller.
Finish tomorrow. Oh, cool. Fabulous. Who have we got?
Area code 603.
603, I think that's Lynn.
Linda?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well,
Glad you're
good
calling
day, young
in.
lady.
It's me again.
So, do you prefer Lynn or Linda?
My name is Lynn.
Lynn.
Okay, cool. Well, let me just finish a thought I was putting out, Lynn, and we'll get into our conversation. But we're just finishing teachers training, and then we have a day off between sessions, and the next day we start, on the 5th, we start 16-day laws of living. So things are rocking here at Heartland. A small but mighty group of teachers. Absolutely awesome the way the people who are here studying teachers training. Every person in the class has a quantum leap in understanding of actually teaching the work compared to any of the teacher trainings we've done in the last, I'm not even sure, I've been doing teachers training for about 15 years. And so to me it's an indicator we're getting close to critical mass. People are really understanding it and putting it to work. So delighted to be here sharing with you. So Lynn, what's on your mind today?
Well, I'd like to share that since I've been doing these worksheets and the work, I'm having far less reaction to things, or at least when they start to come, I can stop and see that it's a reaction right then and there.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is really awesome. And this morning, specifically, I got, there's been an ongoing challenge with my father's estate. He passed a year ago, and I got news this morning that his house that the executor was to sell was just like left sitting there, and now it has such a bad mold problem it can't sell without either a huge infusion of money or, taking a terrific loss on it. So I immediately went to blame the executor of the estate, who seems quite incompetent, there's my judgment, for doing this. And I stopped myself from blame. I'm stopping myself from blaming her. But now this all just happened within the last hour. And I'm just starting a worksheet on her now with this. So I'm wondering if we could do that together. What I learned yesterday, Michael, and I spoke with another gentleman on the show when your voice went off, is that for me to go right after the alcohol is not the place to go. It's to really look at all the other stuff that's going on, and that my tendency in my life has always been to find a quick fix, say it's done, and move on, but it's still there.
Right.
And what I really got to see yesterday that's really exciting for me is, okay, quick fixes, I got to give them up. And maybe I need to do a worksheet on quick fixes.
There you go.
Because I've been I've done a million quick fixes, not some around alcohol, but everything else in my life that hasn't worked or that has been troublesome. Basically, I think anytime I hit any of these dissociated projections, I go find something that makes it feel okay. That's done. That's taken care of. And now I just see it's. Yeah, it's gonna, it's a process. It's gonna, the rest of my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I am so grateful that I have this time, that I have all the resources with the work that I have. I'm going to a group tonight locally. And so my next thing is to do worksheets on quick fixes and the estate executor who's really dropped the ball.
Well, and so, if you look at what's happening for you, what it sounds like, and I can remember the day that somebody gave me a greeting card, and it said, you opened the greeting card, and it said, how to manage your life, or pardon me, the cover of it, and when you opened it, it said, don't get personally involved in it. And it sounds like you're developing the ability to step back from your mind and watch what your carbon-based memory does, how it just spits out and spews out whatever it is. And whenever there's more stress than you can handle, the stress management device in the past has been, well, I just use a little alcohol, then my stress goes down. Of course, when my stress goes down, I knock out the inhibitors, so I do behaviors with which tomorrow I'll get to have more stress, but, that momentary quick fix. And so just, to build the brain cells for as you develop the ability to step apart from your mind, to become the thinker apart from your thought, the feeler apart from the feelings, the actor apart from your actions, and don't get personally involved in your own life. That you don't believe everything your carbon-based memory has to say. There's a worksheet on the website and a DVD called Healing Through Relationships. And in that worksheet, we ask people to do 3 early memories of conflict. And most people outline in their lives 95% of the conflict that will ever occur in those simple 3 offhanded early memories, the dynamics and the principles. And when you can step away from that and start disbelieving what your body's mind tells you, all that this body's mind can do is replicate, and if it replicates stress and pain, then whatever mechanisms we found successful, that's what we'll tend to get stuck in. So, awesome. Sounds like you're right on track.
Great. Yeah.
Yep. So do you have a specific question about the worksheet at this point?
No, like I say, no, I don't. I haven't done the worksheet yet with the estate executor or the quick fixes. This is like just getting really clear in the last literally hour before the show started today. So I guess I'll do that worksheet, and then if I have questions on them, I'll dial in again.
Fabulous. Absolutely. You'd be most welcome to do that. And if you'd like, we could take a look and kind of go through the format that you might want to use. Say, for instance, with the executor. And, some people would say, well, gee, in that situation, does that mean I just have to lay down and take it? And, oh, well, I lose, the house gets destroyed or what have you? No. You come from a space where you can hold the executor totally, completely accountable, but you don't have to create stress, trauma, pain, and reasons to bring over what the executor does. And what the body's mind, what the replicate mind will tend to do, or what we call the body's mind, will tend to do, is it will tend to take its pattern, oh, look, they screwed up, now I'm in pain, in stress, therefore I have a reason to complain. The option to that is, oh, I see that over them not doing it right. Gee, has that ever been an issue in my life, doing it right? That I have pain and stress. So if I come at them out of my pain and stress, I'll simply increase my pain and stress and end up with more of the same. I think what I'll do first, instead of starting right out with trying to take the beam or the speck out of their eye, I think I'll go look at the beam in my own. What's the beam in my eye?
Okay, so to make that concrete, 1A, I put in Brenda, the executor.
Right.
1B, what happened is she didn't take care of the house for a year, and now it's difficult to sell, and there's a lot of loss of money.
Right.
One way or the other. So 1C is I'm pissed. That's my money.
Okay.
And the thought behind it is she's incompetent.
Oh, I don't know.
She didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. She didn't do it right. She didn't do it right.
She didn't do it right. Okay. So then my thought that causes me to be in the feeling of anger, etc.
Right.
She's not doing it right. And then it can help, on the right-hand side of that little box, draw your feelings. What you're feeling about that. And
yeah, it's anger.
Yep. And what's your punishment thought?
Well,
what is it you want to do?
I want to lash out and tell her she's incompetent and she owes that money that's been lost, comes out of her take.
Right.
And if I don't do that, this is great, Michael. If I don't do that, I just want to go drink.
Perfect.
Well, I probably I want to do both. The anger, in order to deal with the anger in me, I want to drink so I don't feel that.
So we call this sin, self-induced nonsense. I have an energy in me that's off the mark. Yeah, I have an energy in me that's off the mark, and that's what the word sin means. It's an archery term. You missed the bullseye. And as a result of that energy in me that's off the mark, I have pain, and my anesthetic is alcohol. And my other anesthetic is hostility, rage at her. Hostility is an internally produced drug that anesthetizes us against pain. And when you look at your punishment thought, you walk past the feeling, you look at your punishment thought, there's another worksheet that we do that's an advanced worksheet. This one is the base key ideas, but there's another worksheet that we do where we, in essence, ask the question to remember when someone did what it is that you want to do to punish to you. And what we know by the codependence work that we do is that this is a pretty high level of stress for you. And when we're in high-level stress, what the carbon-based memory system, the body's mind, will tend to do until we clean this energetic dynamic out of it, which is what the forgiveness is about, what the body's mind will counsel us to do is whatever our power person did to us that we hated the most.
Punish, yeah.
So by what you just shared with us, what we know is that your power person used to rage at you and take things away from you. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I lived
so just to be able to notice what just happened with your breath there. Notice what's just happened. There was an opening in your breath, and that's where that opening occurs. When we were abused in those ways by the power person, we locked that energy in with the breath. And when you soften the breath and can open it, that's when you can let go of that way of punishing.
Yeah, that's true, because up until now, in talking with you, I felt a bit out of breath, and I don't feel that at the moment. Is that what you mean? That you heard the shift? I
could hear the shift in your voice. It was just that little energetic shift that took place. And that's where, in the ancient teachings they said, and this is all about just doing our work. It isn't about theology. In the ancient teachings they said, the veil of the temple must be rent in twain, that is torn in two. The veil is the barrier between the subconscious and the unconscious. The unconscious in the ancient teachings was called the heart. They said, take care of the heart, for out of it are the issues in life. So I play out my behaviors from an unconscious or a dissociated state of mind.
I didn't understand that. Take care of the heart instead of...
Take care of the heart, for out of it are the issues in life. That word heart, in the language we're speaking of in this work, would be the dissociated mind. So when my power person abused and took things from me, I held my breath. I created a veil. I created an unnatural barrier, and I hid that painful experience from myself. And now that it's hidden from me, whenever a situation comes along that resonates that, i.e., My power person did that to me when I didn't do it right. So when somebody comes along that doesn't do it right, I'm controlled by the pain and trauma in my own dissociated mind and do the behaviors of my power person. And it is so painful that I can't look at it. So holding the breath when that comes up, after it's happened 1,000 times, holding the breath isn't enough to keep it locked down. So I look around and go, well, what can I use next? Oh, I'll use rage. Rage is an internally produced chemical that anesthetizes feelings. So, gee, I rage and I go, now I feel powerful, now I feel better, now I don't feel weak and hurt like this content of my dissociated mind. And when I can calmly step back from my own dissociated states, there'll come a point as I start to observe where my breath will, as it did for you a moment ago, spontaneously open. And that, bang, clears out a piece of that dissociated information. Just takes it out of the space.
So the heart is the dissociated mind?
The heart is the dissociated mind or the unconscious. And that word heart, that unconscious.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Say again?
That's beautiful.
Awesome.
I mean,
you know, we've labored in the Western world for almost 2,000 years not being able to translate that word. Nobody, until Freud rediscovered the unconscious, nobody understood what was being spoken about when they said, take care of the heart, for out of there be the issues in life. You must forgive from your heart the wrongs of your brother. You know, from the Greek translation, that sounded like some kind of misleading heart statement.
Yeah.
But what they were saying was, and you know, in the context of our conversation, is, Lynn, you must remove from your unconscious that which you just blamed the executor for, your pain and rage and fear. You must remove from your heart the wrongs of your brother. And when you do, the executor does the behavior they do, and you go, that isn't right. How shall we work out your accountability for this, rather than I go into my trauma, my holding breath to dissociate, my increased stress, my rage to dissociate, my triple increased stress, give me a fifth of scotch. Now I feel better. Well, actually, I don't feel better. I don't feel. It's gone. I'm anesthetized. Take 2 molecules of alcohol, take the water out, you got ether. And so forgiveness is stepping back and observing. This is all just carbon-based memory. This is your carbon-based memory system, we talked about that the other day, is a multi-generational database that just carries all these insane dynamics from generation to generation to generation. And when it becomes too painful, when that resonance becomes too much to handle, that's when I reach for my drug of choice. And of course, you know, we live in a culture that's so drug-oriented, you can hardly go into even a food store and not buy foods that aren't laced with drugs, sugar, caffeine, nicotine, junk food, you know, I mean, on and on it goes.
So what I'm seeing from what you're saying is, before I got into the alcohol, which is only relatively recent in my life, my checkout, how I anesthetized myself was depression. Is that another is depression another anesthesia? Yeah.
Yes. It's just anger turned inward.
Yeah.
Depression is the adult form of temper tantrum. I'm really pissed that this is happening.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm not allowed to do that, because if I did that, my power person beat the hell out of me or disapproved of me or whatever. So now I lock all that anger inside, and I'm classified as depressed. And if you look between legal and illegal antidepressants, probably at least 70% of the culture is on antidepressants.
Right. Well, that's what alcohol has. I mean, it makes the depression worse, but at least when I'm using it, I don't feel it. I don't feel anything. So. Yeah. Yeah. I don't feel. Yeah.
So the thing to recognize is that it's safe to feel, it's safe to look at the truth, it's safe to open the veil of your temple and come face to face with what's in there. Because what you can do is you can just throw it all away and be done with it. It's just a generational pattern. You know, they said when in the physics language, the sins of the father would be passed, yea, into 3 and 4 generations. Go back and look at your preceding generations. How did they manage stress?
Alcohol.
Punishment. Alcohol.
Depression.
Oh my God. Yep. So now, as you rise above that and move to choice, you can delete, remove all of that. Removing it is called forgiveness. So in the classic forgiveness mode, someone would say to you, your therapist might say, well, you know, that what your executor did was really nasty, really bad and wrong, but just let them off the hook. Forgive them. Which, of course, does nothing to change what's happening inside of you. What we're going to move in the direction of is looking at what's in your heart that you project into your brain's image of the executor so that you can delete what's in your heart, and then with the connected mind of love, you can go to the executor and say, you know, you didn't do your job, and the terms of your job were this, and so how would you propose, or here's how I propose, that you take care of the deficiency in your task? Oh, you're not willing to do that? Okay. Well, then the next step is I'll just have to legally hold you accountable, because that's what our culture does, is it holds people accountable legally. So I love you, I bless you, I honor you, but you know, you really did screw up.
Yeah.
For it. And you don't sit in trauma and pain stewing for days, weeks, months, and years, as many people do over it. You know, you hear people talk about something like that 20 years later, and they're still in their unconscious rage about it. You can be done with it today.
Well, this brings up a much bigger situation. But
how shocking.
Pardon? What?
I say, how shocking.
What I do, stay with Brenda or segue into the new one?
Well, you know, if you look in almost all of the religious traditions of the world, they have a set of beads. You know, if you look at the Buddhists or the Catholics, there's these beads that they use. The beads are symbolic. You know, if you're familiar, say, for instance, with the Catholic rosary, people do a series of prayers on the rosary. I do a Hail Mary,
I have the Buddhist beads. Yep.
So they do 10 little ones, and then, bang, they do an Our Father. There's the big one. And they do 10 little ones, a big one. The beads are symbolic. It's a way of communicating to mind that we're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper into our own unconscious dynamics. And it's like a set of beads. You pull up an issue, and then it'll connect you to another issue, to another, and you just start pulling this string of issues out until you've cleaned out your multi-generation database, and then you have this awesome gift from the Creator called a human form into which you incarnate and create your life and play.
I love your definition of love, human life.
Yeah, I mean, hold a newborn. It's really easy to tell what human life is. All you have to do is just hold a newborn, and most people are not living humans.
Okay, Michael, where do I go? This other issue's coming up, and it's just flooding and overwhelming. Where do I go now?
Okay. So you notice over on the right-hand side of the worksheet, there's a column there to put some notes about the other worksheets that you're going to do. So as you tap in, and if it feels like something more important is coming forward than doing this one, then you might want to just pull another worksheet and we'll start another one. Or you might just make notes over in the right-hand column. Okay, I need to do a worksheet on, you know, being abused for this. So, you know, all the times I watched Dad and Mom get drunk and I was left alone and felt like I didn't have a parent, you know, what have you.
Could we start the other one right now?
Sure.
Okay. It's 1A is the Oregon Medical Board. They removed my license 20-some years ago because I was treating, the charge at the time that started the investigation was I was treating cancer with nutrition.
Right.
And it was precipitated by a patient, a 16-year-old with lymphoma who was a ward of the state, and his guardian, appointed guardian, took him to me instead of back to the oncologist for radiation and chemo for his lymphoma, and
Right.
under my care, he went into remission, which turned out to be permanent. Well, this infuriated the oncologist, so he reported me to the board, and it started a 5-year investigation, at the end of which, they were trying to find something on me of incompetence or negligence or, harmfulness or unprofessional conduct, but they couldn't. They investigated me for years, and then at the end of the investigation, when I challenged their illegal means for trying to nail me, they took my license for not cooperating with them. It was just a very dirty turn.
Oh.
So, and I've carried that rage with them for 20-some years. So it's like
Right.
I haven't known what to do with it.
Yeah.
And
so notice that this is a similar issue.
It's the same, yeah.
The one, there's a resonance, but here it is, in fact. There's a book about that. I think it's called Why Is This Happening to Me Again?
Right.
Pretty good stuff. So then number 1A, the medical board. By the way, have you seen a film entitled Brzezinski?
Oh, I know Dr. Brzezinski, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, they put a documentary out, exactly what
I've
you went through, and they've documented it all.
Right.
It's awesome.
I know. I mean, he's held on. It's just amazing.
It is amazing. His courage is just phenomenal. In any event, so then after you put down the medical board, you put your initials. Because notice that, and I have no idea, but everybody that was on the medical board that played that out with you, perhaps today, 20 years later, is dead. You're still carrying it around in your body. And it's so painful that it drives you to
drink.
Yeah. Or
I
rage.
mean, I didn't drink. Yeah, rage, and the drinking didn't start until quite a bit after all of that.
Right.
But
Yep.
it was my only resort.
Yep. And I think Jeannie's got contact information for you. I've got somebody else I'll put you in touch with that might help you to resolve that issue on another way too. So describe what happened. Unjustly took my license, my livelihood, and that's exactly what the executor is doing, right? Unjustly taking your livelihood, your inheritance.
Uh-huh.
Parallels ties right in.
This is
This time you were the one. Say again?
It's also connected, it's like this money from my father's estate. I mean, he yanked any support for me during medical school. During my first year of medical school, I worked the rest of medical school to support myself because I didn't do what he wanted me to do that year. It's like, so he withheld the money, and I went to medical school anyway on my own recognizance. It's just so bizarre the way this is all.
Well, again, if you when we finish the show, jump on the website and under that download worksheet section, download the 3 early memories exercise, or you might want to order a copy of the video of Healing Through Relationships and the Codependence video. But as you do those 3 early memories, what you'll find is that you just 3 simple, silly, offhanded childhood memories, and you will have written about 95% of the trauma in your life. And the behaviors that control you your whole life long, the behaviors with which you've destroyed relationships, destroyed yourself, et cetera, et cetera. We can just go on and on with it.
Right.
And
you said three early memories worksheet?
3 early memories worksheet. Yeah, it's totally self-explanatory.
Okay. I just want to make sure I wrote that.
If you want to download it, you can call back in if you want to download it. You need some support in filling it out. So now in that situation, my feelings resonated by this unjust taking of my livelihood.
It was, rage and And fear. It's lost both.
You've got both. Okay. So then the thought behind the rage is, what would your thought be if you took a deep breath and just touched into that rage around that issue? What is your thought that you think? Let yourself become fully conscious of the thought you think in order to feel rage in that situation.
Whew.
Good. There's the breath. Notice the relief that came with that?
Yep. I still don't have the thought, but something shifted, yeah.
So the thought's probably something like, how dare they take, I'm doing the right thing and they take my livelihood? Something like that maybe? Or who are they to have that kind of power over me?
Yeah, it's more about their power. Okay.
Which is the issue with Dad, right? And having the power to take away your support while you're going to school. Same issue.
Which is the issue of what? I didn't hear that word.
The same issue as with Dad.
Oh, with Dad, yeah.
Him taking away your support when you were going to medical school.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that I'm raging at the power, that power over me.
Okay.
Yeah, so the thought is no one should have that power over me.
Okay. And then, so that's the one on the rage, and now on the fear. What's the fear? What's the thought behind fear when you think of that whole thing?
It's livelihood, but it's also who I am. I don't get to create my creative expression. I just love being a doctor.
So
I love.
They can. Mm-hmm.
I love being a doctor.
They can take away my means of self-expression.
Yeah. Yep.
And what do you want to do to punish them?
I always go back to this picture of having a gun and they're walking on my there were threats on my life during all of this back in the 80s, and my child and my house, and I moved to the country and I saw myself up on the cabin in the hill with a gun, and I had a dog who would bark, and if they came on my property I wanted to just shoot them.
Yeah. I want to punish by killing, destroying.
Destruction.
Breathe. Yes, breathe. Because notice what you're doing to yourself.
Yep. I just got myself I held my breath. I got into the rage.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then, number 2 is I choose to love truth. I willingly go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing. Now, in order to believe that all these feelings and these thoughts are caused by the medical board, you have to deny and dissociate from the power person dynamic, where this was all done to you by your power person. So that means that you're allowing your mind to tell you a lie. Most people love their lies, so number 1 is the absolute truth. They are sticking to their story, and they want to be right about how it's their fault. But while I'm being right about it's their fault, my physiology is going nuts. And that's my physiology's call to 911 to say, there's an emergency happening here in my tissue structure. I need to deal with this. Number 2 is I choose to love truth. So I choose to love truth in this situation. This isn't about the medical board. And as I get clear of the unconsciousness around this, I may choose to go back and do something about it. but I'm going to love truth enough to let my mind show me the real root of this issue so that I can clear it out. And when I start to move it out, it's not going to be Dr. Feelgood. So I'm willing to go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing. That means that you're very likely to go back to the most intense peak trauma moments in that event 20 years ago and feel them in your physiology, feel them in your emotions, feel them in your heart.
Yep.
And see the pictures in your mind. And what you want to do is hold the space of love for yourself. Connect the love and allow those energies to move through you and out of you, because it's that pain when it's resonated that drives you to need an anesthetic.
Yeah. That old, I get that. Yeah.
Cool. Now, so just step into it. I choose to love truth and really start to train your mind. You're willing to go for truth, and I'm willing to go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing. So on a physical health level, healing looks like any kind of physical symptom you've ever had and low energy. On a mental level, it's any kind of negative thought you've ever had, confusion. On an emotional level, it's any kind of negative feeling you've ever had from depression. So I'm willing to go through that. I'm willing to let my veil open, let my breath flow, and be with that, whatever it feels like.
I got really sick the day of the last kangaroo court where the medical board was the judge, jury, and prosecutor. And I got really sick that day, and it turned into what is now, what is called medically chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. And, I never, of course, fully recovered from that because I've been you just said this thing about, it's in the tissues, and as soon as you said that, it's like...
Nobody can carry that kind of mental and emotional burden and the chemistry that results. Remember, yesterday we read the stuff from Candace Pert. About how our thought produced the neuropeptide, lands in the cell, becomes a chemical messenger in the cell. And that's a hellish burden for the cell. And until you forgive, until you remove that burden from the cell is going to be walking around, just think about a cell carrying this huge bag of garbage on its back. That's what chronic fatigue is.
And I lost my sleep.
We've not been given the tool of forgiveness.
Right.
We've not been shown how to remove that stuff. Good. Nice breathing.
Yeah.
So number 3, the thing that causes your mind in a situation with the medical board and with the original worksheet that you're talking about with the executor of the state is that you have a goal for whoever it is you're pinning that on. Your mind generates a reality from your dissociated content about anyone you set a goal toward that resonates that dissociated content. So the thing to look at is, what did you want from them? So I love, in number 3, want number 1A, the medical board, 2, and you want to state the exact goal you have in positive words for them. What did you want from them?
I wanted them to see who I am, the integrity of my work, the results of my work.
Okay, so write each of those down. Write each of those down. See who I am. See the results of my work. The integrity of my work. What else? And find me in
Appreciate me.
Appreciate you. Okay, cool. So if you got those written down, now, without knowing one bit of detail about what went on with your relationship with what sounds like was your power person, Dad, if you would be doing a worksheet on Dad, would each of those things be precisely?
I've done several worksheets on Dad already. I started worksheets on Dad.
Okay.
And number three,
So are these precise?
no. Number three on the earlier worksheet I did on Dad is Dad should let me be me. Dad should be there for and love. Yep. Dad should be there for and love what I am. It's the same thing.
It's precisely the same.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Mm-hmm.
This is called Why Am I Doing This to Myself Again?
I knew the medical board was Dad again. I didn't have to get myself out from under all this.
Right. So let's move forward, and we'll show you how to collapse that so that you can move that energy out. So you've got your goal in number three. Now, the two things have to happen simultaneously in order for healing to occur. Real, true, deep healing of those cellular neuropeptides that create the load. One of them is that I have to access what's hidden there. We'll show you how to do that.
I have to access what?
The other one is you have to access what's locked in the cell. You have to convert it back from the neuropeptide to the thought. Let yourself get in touch with the thought that is now a neuropeptide in the cell.
Okay.
So that's one part, and we'll show you how to do that in a minute. The other part is you need to have the active presence of love there. So
right.
Step number 4 assures that you're doing that. So I choose to reconnect to my original being and think of yourself, imagine holding that newborn, and somebody held you and went, what an awesome presence of love.
Mm-hmm.
So look in the eyes of the newborn, smile. Let yourself have a really wide smile that reaches up, and let the energy of your smile actually move to the frontal lobes of the brain. That activates a thing from the Aramaic called Rachma. And it is the gateway that presence is love in our physiology. It's the word that they said the first law was, and the Greeks translated, you got to love your neighbor, like it's something you do toward your neighbor. Nothing to do with it. The first law was have Rachma toward neighbor. Your father, the medical board, and the executor are your neighbors. And it has nothing to do with the behavior you do toward them. It has to do with keeping the gateway open to keep your human life alive in your physiology. Rachma. So that's what you're doing when you're smiling and warming the frontal lobes of the brain. You're opening that and reestablishing love. It is the presence of that love when it gets to the dissociated part of the mind that dissolves the dissociated information.
Mm-hmm.
So you got
dissolves.
That connection to
yeah.
the source?
Dissolves, yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep, as soon as you said it, the smile came. Yep.
Awesome, cool. All right, then. So now, in number 1, you've got a reality based in hostility or fear. One of the things we point out in the Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop is any reality based in hostility or fear comes from corrupt data, and it's false, it's a lie, and so I need to collapse the lie. I need to collapse the projection. And so 5A, in order to collapse my false reality, be liberated from my hostility/fear, and get back to my actual mind and the truth about me and my object of attention, I cancel. In Aramaic, the word is shebag. I go for it, and you bring exactly what you wrote in number 3. And I would suggest that I think you've got actually 4 different worksheets here. So let's just take one of those things that you won from the medical board. Just take one of them from number 3 and bring it down to number 5. And then I'd repeat this part of the worksheet with each of those 4 goals, because I think if I remember correctly, you had actually 4 different goals for them. Take just one of them.
Okay, see who I am.
Number 5.
I cancel the my goal for the medical board to see who I am. Okay.
And then, that goal is the driver that causes your mind to use that dissociated, that painful information around being seen for who you are to build your brain's image of them. And so by collapsing it, you get to the, you can now start, instead of just seeing that dissociated information when it's projected into someone else, the executor, the medical board, dad, whatever, by canceling the goal and collapsing the projection, I now open directly the dissociated part of my mind, where now as I bring love into that part of my mind and I bring forward what I've dissociated from, I'm now in direct relationship with it and change it. And it's a pattern that probably goes back 1,000 generations. And so the second step in 5B is we need a helper. You know, there's some Harvard research that says in a time frame where 10,000 brain cells fire, the max amount of information that gets into conscious awareness is 9-bit fragment. And so we talk about it as, you know, we have this 9-bit mind. It's a pea brain, and you can't even start to think about reaching into 1,000 generations of insanity with the 9-bit mind. But what Yeshua taught 2,000 years ago was that there was a power in you. In Aramaic, it was called Ruku de Kudsha, and it literally means a feminine elemental force that when invited into activity undoes the effects of our errors and teaches us the truth. The denial of which is the error that leaves us in unforgiveness. So this is, in our modern language, we could say the super processor. This is the super processor that can reach to the very depths of our genetics and remove every neuropeptide that went into each generation that never belonged there. And so with willingness, I invite, and there's a blank there so that, you know, whatever you choose to name it. Some people call it the higher power, God, Holy Spirit, whatever term you use. I think there's a vibratory effect of Ruka.
I invite Mother Mary. I invite Mother Mary.
Cool. Okay. So I invite Mother Mary to incline me toward healing, to really be there as support, to restore me to my original nature love, to assist me in keeping love present, and to help me to come into direct conscious relationship with and remove the dissociated and projected parts of my carbon-based memory. And breathe.
Yeah.
I love going through that stuff.
I have help.
How you feel? Yeah.
I'm breathing.
How do you feel
yep.
as you do that?
I'm breathing and I'm smiling.
Okay.
I'm breathing.
So in number 6, I now feel, as you're smiling, is the word lighter? Is it, what is it?
Yeah, definitely lighter. Lighter works. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I now feel, I'm smiling and feel lighter.
I feel relieved. Yeah. I feel, lighter. Mm-hmm.
That's what forgiveness does. And then about the situation, number 1B. So number 1B was the medical board took away my license. About that situation, what can you see now after doing that forgiveness process? How does that whole situation look to you at this moment?
My response is, it happened.
Yeah.
It just happened. The medical board was doing the medical board what the medical board does.
Right. Okay, cool. Awesome. And notice that instead of raging, you're laughing. That's what human life does in the presence of life, even when life isn't doing what it wants to have done. However,
right.
non-human life, non-being rages and grieves and pains and traumas because that's what we've inherited from 1,000 generations of insanity.
And what just flashed on my mind, you know, one of the hearings, I had hearings locally, you know, in the hospital because they didn't want me to use any of their facilities, you know, because of my entanglement with the board. And of course, the oncologist was leading the local hearings. But he sat there, red-faced, smoking a cigarette, blowing it in my face. And I'm just, you know, I mean, talk about it was like, And then when I applied for a license 10 years later in another state, the same thing happened. You know, a man just red-faced leaned across the table and just telling me how despicable I am. And I just had this overwhelmed, you know, just wonderful washover of compassion for these people that are, wow, you know, that are in that experience. Yeah.
That's what human life does instead of suffer. Human life is able to look and go, oh my God. Do you remember Yeshua says, there's so many times, if only you'd known it, what I wanted to do was just bring you like a mother chick under my wings and support you and heal you. I remember working with the dean of the medical school in another state back a few years ago, and after we'd done some breath work and some forgiveness work, I offered him the thought, what do you suppose it would be like if medical school were a warm, loving environment where they brought people to be nurtured and healed and sent them out as healers? And he just sat there with his mouth open, like, what a radical thought. And a year later, he quit as the dean of medical school to start working to take alternative medicine into the medical schools. The presence of love is what heals insanity. More insanity doesn't heal insanity.
Right.
And so as you work through a particular issue in your life, you get to be the space where that issue can be evaporated from planet Earth. That's how we're going to end war. That's how the whole game is going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And the pain that Dad lived with, you know, it was just huge.
Unbearable.
Huge.
Well,
yeah.
Oh, Lynn,
like yourself,
Michael,
like yourself up to this point,